The twin suns of Vayara shone weakly over a land that had once been filled with light and life. Now half the planet lay in shadow, its skies dim and gray. Great towers of crystal stretched toward the clouds, but even their glow had begun to fade. The air itself carried a tired silence, as if the world was slowly falling asleep. And at the heart of it all stood Queen Sirenia, ruler of the Vayari. Sirenia was unlike any other queen in her people's long history. She had been born without sight. But her other senses were stronger than anyone could imagine. Where others saw with their eyes, she felt with her mind. The softest vibrations in the air spoke to her. The hum of the planet told her its secrets. She could hear the sadness in her people's voices, feel the tremor of worry in the palace floors. She ruled not with vision, but with understanding. Her blindness had never made her weak. In fact, it made her braver than most. From a young age, she had learned to walk through the great crystal halls without help, memorizing every sound and step. When advisors told her something could not be done, she asked, "Why not?" When her generals told her that war was the only answer, she replied, "Then we have not thought long enough." Her calm voice and wise heart earned her the name the Silent Queen, but even the wisest queen could not ignore the truth forever. Vayara was dying. The twin suns that once fed their energy crystals were weakening. The planet's great cities, built on light and resonance, began losing power. Crops failed. Machines that once hummed with life now stood cold. Her scientists told her they had only a few decades left before the planet became unlivable. The people began whispering in fear. Sirenia called a council of her most trusted advisors. In the grand hall, the air shimmered with quiet tension. The council stood in a circle, their silver robes reflecting the faint light. Sirenia, seated on her crystal throne, rested her hands gently on its arms. Though she could not see their faces, she could sense their unease. "Speak," she said softly. Her voice carried across the room like a calm breeze. "Tell me what the stars have revealed." A scientist stepped forward. His tone trembled. "My queen, our search has reached its end. No world in our system holds what we need. Our power source is failing. We cannot sustain the resonance energy without help." "Then we must look beyond our system," Sirenia replied. Another voice, sharp and cautious, spoke from the shadows. "Beyond, Majesty? That means contact with the humans." The room grew cold at the mention of the word. For many years, the Vayari had watched humanity from afar. Humans were unpredictable, bold, emotional, sometimes violent. They explored space with machines of metal and flame, while the Vayari traveled through sound and light. To the Vayari, humans were a mystery. Too loud, too wild, and too dangerous. Yet Sirenia had always felt something different when she listened to human transmissions. Their voices carried hope, pain, and dreams. They reminded her of how her own people once were, alive, curious, and full of fire. "Humans are flawed," said one of her generals. "They fight even among themselves. If we show them weakness, they will conquer us." "Not all who fight wish for conquest," Sirenia answered. "Some fight because they fear. Some fight because they dream of peace." A long silence followed. Her advisors exchanged uneasy glances. Finally, the elder of the council spoke. "Your Majesty, the humans may have what we need. Their world is rich, their energy sources strong. But to reach them, you must go yourself. Only a queen can speak for our people." Sirenia's fingers tightened slightly on the throne. "Then I will go," she said. Gasps filled the hall. "You cannot!" cried one voice. "It is too dangerous," shouted another. Sirenia raised her hand. Instantly, the room fell silent. "Danger," she said softly, "is not new to me. I was born into it. Every step I take is a step into the unknown. Yet I have never fallen." Her words echoed in the chamber. The council bowed their heads, realizing her decision was final. That night, Sirenia stood alone on the palace balcony, feeling the faint wind brush her silver hair. She could sense the faint hum of the stars, voices whispering across the void. Somewhere out there, she believed, was the answer, not just for her people's survival, but for something deeper, an understanding that all living beings shared the same light, even if they saw it differently. A gentle sound approached behind her. It was her closest attendant, Lura. "My queen," Lura whispered, "the ship is ready. The council fears for you." Sirenia smiled. "Fear is a song I have heard since birth. It no longer moves me." Lura hesitated. "And if the humans reject us?" Sirenia turned her head slightly, her white eyes gazing toward the stars she could not see. "Then I will still have done what I must. A queen must lead where others dare not." As the twin suns sank below the horizon, a soft vibration passed through the ground. The great ship of light, shaped like a giant ring of crystal, rose into the air. Serenia walked toward it, guided only by the hum of its energy. Every step echoed softly on the polished floor. She carried no weapon, no crown, only faith. When she entered the vessel, she placed her hand on the control sphere. Instantly, the ship responded to her touch, recognizing the signature of its queen. The interior shimmered with sound waves that danced like silver threads. She listened to their melody and smiled. "Set course for Earth," she said. As the ship broke through the upper clouds, Serenia felt a strange mix of emotions. Beneath her calm heart was a spark of curiosity. What were humans truly like? Were they as fearful as her advisors claimed, or as hopeful as their voices had seemed? Could they understand someone like her, a queen who ruled through silence? The stars stretched before her in endless patterns. For the first time, Serenia felt a pull, an invisible thread calling her toward a destiny she could not name. Somewhere far away, a planet called Earth spun quietly under a golden sun, unaware that the fate of two worlds was about to change. Serenia sat quietly in her chamber, listening to the deep vibration of the engines. In the silence, she whispered a vow. "If there is kindness among them, I will find it. If there is courage, I will meet it. And if there is light, I will see it, though I have no eyes." Outside, the stars shimmered like 1,000 silent witnesses. The journey had begun. Far away from the stars of Veera, on the blue planet called Earth, there lived a man named Captain Elias Grant. Once, he had been a brave explorer who led missions beyond the solar system. People called him the Star Wanderer, because he had traveled further than most humans ever dared. But now Elias lived quietly near the ocean, away from the noise of the cities and the rush of politics. His small house stood near the cliffs where the sea met the sky. Every evening, Elias would sit on the rocks and watch the horizon. He loved the silence, the sound of waves hitting the shore, and the sight of stars blinking in the night. They reminded him of all the places he had seen, and all the mistakes humanity had made. Elias had once believed humans were ready to meet other worlds. But after years of witnessing greed and power struggles between colonies, he began to doubt. He had lost friends in missions that should never have been launched. So when he retired, he promised himself never to be part of politics again. But fate had other plans. One morning, a sleek white craft landed near his home. The air shimmered around it as government officers stepped out. A tall woman in a gray uniform approached him. "Captain Elias Grant," she said firmly, "the United Earth Council requests your presence. You have been chosen for a matter of great importance." Elias frowned. "I retired years ago. You have younger men." "This isn't a mission of war," she replied. "It's about peace. An alien civilization has contacted us. Their leader wishes to meet a human representative, someone known for honesty, courage, and empathy. The council chose you." He was silent for a long moment. He looked at the sea, then back at the officer. "An alien leader? You're serious?" "Yes, Captain. Their queen is on her way here. She calls herself Serenia." The name carried a strange echo, soft yet powerful. Elias felt something stir within him. He had dreamed of first contact his whole life, and now it was happening. Still, a shadow of doubt crossed his face.
"Why me?"
The officer gave a small smile. "Because you see people for who they are, not what they look like," Elias finally agreed. 3 days later, he stood in the orbital diplomatic station, a grand structure that floated high above Earth. Its glass walls showed the curve of the planet below, glowing in soft blues and whites. Scientists, soldiers, and ambassadors moved about nervously. Everyone was waiting for the arrival of the Veari ship. Elias stood near the observation deck, hands behind his back. Though he looked calm, his heart was steady but heavy with curiosity. He wondered what these aliens would be like. Were they taller, smaller, or completely different in form? Would they speak through words or thoughts? And what kind of queen would travel across galaxies for peace? A soft alarm chimed. The commander on deck shouted, "Incoming vessel detected." A moment later, a massive ring-shaped ship appeared outside the station's window. It shimmered with blue light and moved silently, without engines or flames. Its surface rippled like liquid glass, beautiful and strange. When it docked, everyone in the hall held their breath. The door opened slowly, releasing a wave of glowing mist. From within stepped tall figures with graceful movements. Their skin shimmered faintly as if made of polished stone. Their eyes glowed with gentle light. They looked peaceful, but their presence carried weight, like stars walking among men. And then she appeared, Queen Serenia. She moved slowly but confidently, guided by the hum of her staff that resonated with each step. Her eyes were pale and unseeing, but her face was calm. She wore robes of white and silver, and around her neck hung a small crystal that pulsed softly. Everyone bowed without thinking. Even the soldiers, trained to fear nothing, felt awe. Elias, however, did not bow immediately. Instead, he stepped forward carefully. He didn't want to frighten her, nor did he want to act superior. He simply placed his hand on his chest and said, "Welcome to Earth." Serenia tilted her head slightly, sensing his voice. It was deep, warm, and steady. "You are Captain Elias Grant?" she asked softly. "Yes," he said. "I've been chosen to represent my people." "I can feel truth in your tone," she said, smiling faintly. "That is rare." Elias was surprised. "You can feel that?" "I cannot see," she explained, "but sound and energy tell me what eyes cannot." "You speak with honesty. That is why I came, to meet someone who does not hide behind walls." Around them, other humans and Veyari remained silent, watching. It was strange. Two leaders from two worlds meeting not with pride but with quiet respect. Serenia raised her hand slightly. "Your planet hums with life. I can sense its heartbeat even from afar. It is beautiful." Elias looked at her in wonder. "And yours?" "It grows weak," she admitted softly. "That is why I am here." Her words carried sadness, not as a plea but as truth. Elias could hear it in her voice, the weight of a dying world and the courage it took to face it. He suddenly felt deep respect for her. She had crossed galaxies, blind yet unafraid. As the meeting began, the two sat across from each other. Translators tried to assist, but soon they realized they were not needed. Serenia's understanding of sound allowed her to catch meaning beyond words. And Elias, though human, had the patience to listen deeply. She spoke of her planet's fading suns, of her people's struggle and their need for energy. She did not demand or beg. Instead, she offered an alliance, exchange of knowledge, culture, and friendship. Elias listened silently, his mind racing. Many on Earth would see this as an opportunity for power, but he saw something greater, a chance for unity. After the talks ended for the day, Elias walked beside Serenia as she explored the observation deck. The stars outside reflected softly in the glass floor. She turned her face toward them, though she could not see. "They sound different here," she said. "How can you tell?" Elias asked. "Each star has a song," she replied. "Yours are warmer." "They sing of dreams," Elias smiled. "You hear music where we only see light, and you see beauty where I only hear silence," she said kindly. "Together, perhaps, we understand the universe a little better." He looked at her then, not as an alien queen, but as someone deeply human in spirit. In that quiet moment, surrounded by stars, something changed. Elias no longer felt like an envoy or a soldier. He felt like a bridge between worlds. As they stood there, the commander approached and whispered, "Captain, the council wishes to speak with you. They want your opinion." Elias glanced back at Serenia, who stood peacefully listening to the hum of the stars. He knew his answer already. "She's not our enemy," he said. "She's our chance." That night, as Serenia rested in her chamber, she replayed the sound of Elias's voice in her memory. There was steadiness in it, something strong yet gentle. She had met many leaders before, but none who spoke with such honest calm. In a universe filled with noise, his words were a song she could trust. She smiled softly to herself. In her heart, she knew this meeting was not by chance. It was destiny, one written not in sight but in sound, courage, and faith. And far below, on the sleeping planet, humanity waited, unaware that their future had already begun to change. The days that followed were filled with long talks between humans and Veyari. In the grand hall of the orbital diplomatic station, representatives from both species gathered every morning. They spoke about trade, technology, and the sharing of knowledge. But under every polite conversation, there was a quiet unease. Many humans feared the Veyari's strange energy. They whispered that aliens might control their minds. Some Veyari, on the other hand, believed humans were too loud, too emotional, too quick to fight. Even though Queen Serenia and Captain Elias Grant worked together with patience and calm, mistrust grew like an invisible fog around them. One afternoon, when the talks grew tense, Elias asked for a break. He found Serenia standing near the glass window of the observation deck. The stars shone brightly behind her, bathing her silver robes in soft light. Her pale eyes faced the endless sky. "They're not ready," Elias said quietly. "I know," Serenia replied. Her voice was calm, but he could sense her worry. "They hear each other's words, but not their hearts." He nodded. "Some still believe you came to take from us. And some of my people believe you only wish to conquer," she said softly. "Fear has a voice louder than truth." For a moment, neither spoke. They stood together in silence, the hum of the stars surrounding them. Elias admired her courage. Despite blindness, despite doubt, she never lost her grace. She led not by force, but by faith. Finally, Serenia turned toward him. "Captain, tell me truly, do you believe peace between us is possible?" Elias met her gaze. Though she could not see, he felt as if she was looking directly into his soul. "I do," he said, "but not with words alone. People need something real, something they can see, something they can believe in." Serenia was quiet for a long time. Then she took a slow breath and said, "Then perhaps we must give them more than speeches." "What do you mean?" Elias asked. She lifted her head. "Our two worlds do not trust each other. But if two hearts can unite, maybe others will follow. A bond stronger than treaties, deeper than politics." Elias frowned slightly, trying to understand. "What kind of bond?" "A union," Serenia said gently. "A symbolic marriage between a human and a Vayari. Between you and me." Elias froze. "A marriage? It would be more than a promise," she continued. "It would show that we are not afraid to stand as one. It would show faith, not just words." For a moment, Elias could not speak. His heart beat loudly in his chest. 1,000 thoughts rushed through his mind. He was human. She was alien. Their worlds, their cultures, even their ways of life were different. But as he looked at her calm face, he saw truth in her words. If their bond could end centuries of fear between species, maybe it was worth it. Still, he asked carefully, "Are you certain your people will accept this?" Serenia gave a small smile. "They may not, but they will listen. They always have, even when they disagree. And if they see that I, their blind queen, trust a human with my fate, perhaps they will learn to trust as well." "And Earth?" Elias whispered. "Our leaders might think it's foolish." "Perhaps," she said softly, "but you are not like them. You do not serve power. You serve truth. That is why I ask you." Elias turned toward the stars, his thoughts heavy. He had never imagined such a choice. Yet as he stood beside Serenia, he felt something strange, a quiet connection. It wasn't about politics. It was about understanding. In her silence, he saw strength. In her blindness, he saw vision. Finally, he nodded slowly. "If this will bring peace between our worlds, I will accept." Serenia bowed her head slightly. "Then let it be known. From this day, our destinies are joined." The news spread faster than light. Across Earth, people stared at their screens in shock. Some cheered, others doubted. Many debated what it meant, a human marrying an alien queen. Governments argued in closed chambers. Scientists wondered if such a bond was even possible. On Vayara, the reaction was even stronger. Some saw it as an act of courage. Others called it betrayal. The ancient priests of light questioned if their queen had gone too far. But Serenia stood firm. "A leader must walk the path that others fear," she told her people. The union ceremony was set to take place aboard the station. It would be broadcast live to both worlds. For the first time in history, two species would share vows not of power, but of peace. Elias dressed in simple white ceremonial armor, representing the purity of his intent. Serenia wore flowing silver robes that shimmered with soft light, representing trust. When she entered the grand hall, everyone stood. The floor glowed beneath her feet as she walked, guided by sound. Elias met her halfway. The moment their hands touched, a quiet hush filled the hall. A gentle voice from the translator spoke. "Do you come willingly, in trust and peace?" Serenia raised her chin. "I come in truth and hope." Elias answered firmly. "I come in respect and courage." Their hands remained joined as the hall brightened. The crystal lights above shifted into a gentle white glow. No weapons, no banners, no armies, just two beings from different worlds standing together. When the ceremony ended, there was no cheering, no music, only silence. A silence filled not with fear, but with wonder. For the first time, Humans and Veiri looked at each other not as strangers, but as witnesses of something greater. That night, after the ceremony, Elias and Serenia met privately in a quiet garden aboard the station. It was a place filled with glowing plants from both worlds, a symbol of shared life. The stars above shone softly through the glass ceiling. Serenia stood beside a small pool, listening to the gentle sound of water. "Do you regret your choice?" she asked quietly. Elias shook his head. "No, it may be strange to many, but it feels right." She smiled faintly. "I felt your heart when you spoke. It was steady. You did not say yes for power or glory. You said it because you believe." "I do," he said, "and I believe in you." Serenia reached out her hand, finding his. "In my world, we do not see faces. We know others by their energy, by the rhythm of their heart. Yours is unlike any I've felt before. It carries warmth." Elias looked at her with quiet respect. "You see more than we ever could." For a long while they simply stood there, two rulers, two souls, surrounded by silence. The stars outside seemed to hum softly, as if blessing their union. Neither knew what the future held. Many would challenge their choice. Many would doubt their intentions. But that night, as they stood hand in hand, they both felt the same truth. This was not just the start of peace. It was the start of understanding. And though Serenia could not see the stars, she could feel their light shining through him, and Elias, though only human, felt stronger beside her, as if her courage had become his own. That night truly changed everything. The following weeks were tense. Though the union of Queen Serenia and Captain Elias Grant had inspired hope, not everyone welcomed it. On both Veyara and Earth, murmurs of doubt and rebellion spread like a quiet wind through the halls of power. On Veyara, some council members spoke in hushed tones behind closed doors. "The Queen has betrayed tradition," one whispered. "How can she unite us with a human? Our ways are ancient. Our trust is not so easily given." Another replied, "Yet she is the Queen. If she believes in this, we must follow, though I do not know if I will ever accept it." Meanwhile, on Earth, political leaders questioned Elias's judgment. "A symbolic marriage may inspire some, but it risks national security," a senior diplomat said sharply. "We do not know their true intentions. What if this is a trap?" Others argued that Elias had made the right choice. "He represents humanity's best," a council member replied. "If anyone can guide this alliance with honor, it is him." Elias felt the weight of expectation pressing down on him. Every decision he made seemed to echo far beyond his own mind. Even simple words could be misunderstood, and yet every time he looked at Serenia, he found calm and clarity. Her silence was never empty. It was a strength he had learned to rely on. One evening, as the twin moons of Veyara glowed faintly through the station's observation deck, Serenia felt a strange vibration beneath her feet. It was subtle, but her heightened senses caught it immediately. "Elias," she said softly, turning toward him. "Something is coming." He straightened, his hand brushing against hers. "What do you sense?" "A disturbance in the resonance," she explained. "It is not from your humans. It is from my people. Some of them do not accept this union." Elias nodded. "We will face it together." In the days that followed, the threats became clearer. Strange messages appeared on both human and Veyari networks. Anonymous warnings, cryptic symbols, and untraceable communications hinted at rebellion. On Veyara, an extremist faction known as the Shadow Guard began mobilizing. They believed that the Queen had weakened the race by trusting a human. On Earth, a secret group of skeptics began plotting to intercept the Veyari technology, fearing alien control. Serenia did not react with fear. She listened to the vibrations of the station, feeling the tension in the walls, the tremors of hidden movements. "They believe they can stop us," she said, "but courage and trust are stronger than fear." Elias stood by her side, his hand gripping hers. "Then we show them." The first confrontation came unexpectedly. During a public gathering meant to celebrate the union, an explosion shook the docking bay. Smoke filled the room, alarms blared, and humans and Veyari alike panicked. Soldiers rushed toward the source, but Serenia remained calm. She felt the energy of the attackers through the vibrations in the floor. Her mind mapped their positions instantly. "Elias, follow me," she said. He did, trusting her instincts completely. Together they moved through the chaos, guiding others to safety. Though she could not see, Serenya's senses were precise. She directed humans and Veyari alike, saving dozens from harm. When they finally reached the attackers, Elias was ready to fight, but Serenya raised her hand. "No, Elias, listen first. Understand before we strike." Through the vibrations, she discerned their fear, their confusion. These were not mindless soldiers, they were followers misled by extremists. Elias lowered his weapon slightly, allowing Serenya to speak. "I am your queen," she said. Her voice was calm but commanding. "And I stand for our people's future. Violence will not bring honor. Unity will." Some hesitated, then fled. Others surrendered. That night they realized that courage was not measured by weapons but by understanding. Even after the attack, the tension did not vanish. Extremists had retreated into hiding, plotting silently. Every day, Elias and Serenya faced challenges, sabotaged supplies, suspicious communications, and whispered threats in the corridors. Each time they relied on trust. Elias learned to read Serenya's silent cues. A slight shift in her stance could mean danger nearby. A faint hum in the air might indicate sabotage. He became her eyes in the physical world, translating her perception into action. Serenya, in turn, taught Elias to feel more deeply. He began to notice vibrations, the subtle rhythms of energy in the room, the almost invisible signs of movement. Though he could never truly sense the world as she did, he learned to understand it in his own way. Together they formed a bond stronger than either could have imagined. One night, after another tense day, they walked together through the station's quiet gardens. These gardens contained plants from Earth and Veyara alike, blending colors, textures, and energy patterns. The soft hum of life surrounded them. "Do you ever fear what might happen?" Elias asked quietly. Serenya paused, feeling the vibrations of the ground beneath her feet. "Fear has always been with me," she said. "It is natural. But I do not let it control me. I let it guide me. And courage. Courage is facing it anyway." Elias looked at her, inspired. "And what about trust?" Serenya smiled faintly. "Trust is harder. You must open your heart even when the world warns you not to. You must believe in those who deserve it." He nodded. "Then I trust you." "And I trust you," she replied. "Together we will show our people that unity is possible." But the extremists did not rest. They struck again, this time targeting supply routes between Earth and Veyara. Communications were jammed. Supplies vanished. Ships were sabotaged. Panic threatened to spread once more. Elias and Serenya worked tirelessly, coordinating rescue missions and security measures. The humans and Veyari who had doubted them began to see their strength, not in weapons, not in dominance, but in unbreakable partnership. One morning, Elias received a message from Earth's Council. "Captain, we cannot ignore these extremists forever. You must contain them," he looked at Serenya. "We cannot fight alone. We need our people to see hope, not fear." Serenya placed her hand on his arm. "Then we show them together. Lead with courage and others will follow." That day they stood side by side on the observation deck, addressing representatives from both species. Their voices were calm, confident, and unwavering. They spoke of unity, trust, and the power of working together. They spoke not as rulers, but as humans and aliens who believed in a shared future. Slowly, the crowd began to respond. Some skeptics still whispered, but many nodded. Hearts softened, minds opened. Hope began to spread where fear had once lingered. By the end of the day, the extremists had not been defeated entirely, but their power weakened. They had underestimated the bond between the Queen and her human ally. Through courage, trust, and understanding, Serenya and Elias showed that fear could be met with calm, and rebellion could be met with wisdom. As night fell, the twins' moons of Veyara reflected softly in the station's glass walls. Serenya stood quietly, sensing the planet's energy. "The shadows are still here," she said, "but they are weaker now." Elias placed his hand over hers. "Then we continue, together." And together they did. No matter the challenges, no matter the whispers of doubt, they remained united. The Queen who could not see, and the human who had learned to listen became a symbol for their worlds. Their courage was silent yet loud. Their trust was invisible yet undeniable. Even as the night deepened, Serenya felt a strange warmth in the vibrations around her. She could not see the stars, yet she sensed that something had shifted. The darkness that once seemed endless was beginning to fade, and for the first time both humans and Veyari began to believe that unity was not only possible, It was inevitable. The morning light stretched across the orbital diplomatic station, casting soft glows over the walls and floors. The events of the previous weeks had changed much, yet much remained uncertain. Though the extremists' first attacks had failed, their presence lingered like a shadow. Fear still whispered to those who were not ready to accept the union between Queen Serenia and Captain Elias Grant. Serenia stood quietly by the observation deck. Though she could not see the golden rays streaming through the glass, she felt their warmth on her skin. The gentle hum of the station vibrated beneath her feet, carrying subtle information. She sensed movement, human and Veyari alike, preparing for the day ahead. Elias approached, his hand brushing lightly against hers. "We leave for the colonies today," he said. "It is time they hear our story directly. We cannot only speak from this station." Serenia nodded. "And we must listen as well. Trust grows only when hearts are open, not when speeches are made." Together they boarded the transport ship that would take them to several human and Veyari colonies across space. As the engines hummed to life, Elias studied Serenia quietly. He had grown more attuned to her unique way of perceiving the world. Though she could not see, she guided him through turbulence, navigation challenges, and even minor mechanical issues, simply by feeling the vibrations of the ship. "You are remarkable," he said softly. Serenia's lips curved in a faint smile. "It is not just me. It is the connection we share. One cannot act alone in unity." Their first stop was a remote human colony near the edge of the solar system. The settlers had received the news of the union, but many were suspicious. They gathered in the colony's central hall, eyes wide, murmuring among themselves. Elias stepped forward, placing his hands over his chest in the human greeting of respect. "We are here not as rulers, but as neighbors. We come to listen and to share." Serenia's voice carried gently through the translator. "We have traveled far, not for power, but for trust. Together we hope to build bridges where walls once stood." The settlers listened in silence, some frowning, others leaning forward in curiosity. One elder, a woman with silver hair and sharp eyes, stepped forward. "Why should we trust this alliance? Humans and Veyari have never understood each other. How can a queen and a human truly represent both?" Elias took a deep breath. "Because we have chosen to understand, not to rule. We have faced doubt, fear, and threats together, and we are still standing, united. That is our answer." Serenia extended her hand slightly. "I cannot see, but I can feel truth. I have felt it in Captain Grant's words, in his presence. He does not speak lightly. He does not act for glory. That is why I stand with him." Slowly, the crowd began to murmur with approval. Some skeptics still hesitated, but others nodded, feeling hope grow in their hearts. It was not an easy change, but it was a start. From there, they traveled to Veyari colonies, where skepticism was often stronger. Some of the Veyari elders and generals had refused to meet them at first, but as they spoke calmly, guided by Serenia's understanding and Elias's sincerity, many began to soften. One elder, an ancient Veyari named Lyran, challenged them. "The queen has broken tradition. How can we honor our past if we follow this path?" Serenia's voice was gentle yet firm. "Tradition is important, but the future demands courage. If we only honor the past, our world will die. We must act now with understanding and trust, and we must lead together, not apart." Lyran studied her carefully. Then he looked at Elias, noticing the human's unwavering gaze. "You have risked much to walk beside her," he said. Perhaps there is wisdom in your courage. It was a small victory, but an important one. Step by step, colony by colony, they built connections. Humans and Veyari began to see the union not as a threat, but as an example. Yet, despite these successes, the extremists were not idle. Reports came in of hidden bases, intercepted messages, and unexplained energy surges in distant sectors. The Shadow Guard on Veyara and their human sympathizers on Earth were preparing a final strike. Their goal was simple: break the Union, destroy the Alliance, and restore fear in both worlds. One night, as Serenia meditated quietly in her chamber, she sensed the faint hum of danger. The vibrations were subtle, almost hidden. "Elias," she said, her tone calm but urgent. "They are planning something." Elias joined her immediately. "Do you know where?" "Not yet," she admitted. "But I can feel their fear. And fear always leaves traces." Together they began to prepare. They reinforced security protocols, monitored communications, and trained trusted soldiers to respond quickly. But even as they acted, Serenia reminded Elias of something important. "Courage is needed," she said softly. "But so is understanding. Those who act from fear may be misled. We must not only fight, but also listen." Elias nodded. He had learned this lesson well over the past weeks. Violence alone would not win loyalty. Respect, patience, and trust would. The day of the attack arrived quietly, almost deceptively. The extremists launched a coordinated strike on a small colony situated between human and Veyari territories. Ships were disabled, alarms went off, and panic threatened to spread. Serenia and Elias reacted immediately. Though she could not see, Serenia felt the subtle vibrations of movement. She guided Elias through the chaos, directing soldiers and civilians alike. "Left now," she commanded. "There! Protect the civilians." Elias followed her instructions precisely, using her insight to anticipate the extremists' moves. Together they moved with a precision neither human nor Veyari had seen before. In the midst of the chaos, Elias noticed something remarkable. The extremists hesitated when confronted not with weapons but with calm. Serenia approached them, her voice steady. "We do not wish to harm you. Lay down your arms. There is a path forward that does not lead to destruction." Some were shocked. Others, feeling the strength of her presence and Elias's support, surrendered. The attack was stopped, not by force alone, but by unity and trust. After the battle, the colonists gathered to thank them. "We were afraid," one human said quietly. "But your courage and calm saved us." Serenia smiled faintly. "Fear is natural. Courage is facing it. Trust is believing in something greater than fear." Elias placed his hand over hers. "And together we are stronger." The victory was not total, but it was significant. News of the success spread rapidly, reaching both Earth and Veyara. The extremist influence weakened, and more communities began to support the Union. People saw a blind queen and a human captain not as rulers, but as symbols of what was possible when courage, trust, and understanding guided action. As night fell over the station, Serenia and Elias stood quietly in the observation garden. The soft glow of alien and human plants surrounded them, creating a sanctuary of light. "Do you feel it?" Elias asked. "The change?" Serenia closed her eyes, sensing the vibrations around her. "Yes," she said. "The shadow is still there, but it grows weaker. Courage spreads. Trust grows, and hope. Hope shines brighter than I imagined." Elias nodded. "Then we continue, together." She reached out, placing her hand over his. "Always." That night, the stars outside seemed to hum softly, as if acknowledging the union of two worlds. Serenia could not see the constellations, yet she felt their rhythm. Elias could see them, yet he understood that true vision sometimes came from the heart. And so, step by step, mission by mission, they continued. Every village they visited, every colony they protected, every heart they touched, strengthened the alliance. The trial of trust was not over, but they had passed the first test. Their bond had become a symbol, a living example of unity, courage, and hope. Even as the extremists plotted in the shadows, they could not ignore the growing power of trust. The queen who could not see and the human who had learned to listen had shown that fear could be faced, and hearts could be changed. And as they rested that night, hand in hand, Serenia and Elias knew this. The final challenge was still ahead. But together they would meet it. And together they would continue to inspire their worlds.